I work with many enterprise organizations that use Azure DevOps, and many of them do things that either reduce the effectiveness of the features or break them entirely. I asked Dan Helm, the principal product manager for Azure DevOps, what the top 4 issues were, and this is the result. Hi, I'm Martin Hinshelwood, owner and principal consultant at Naked Agility. I'm a professional Scrum trainer with Scrum.org, a professional Kanban trainer with Pro Kanban, and I've been a Microsoft MVP in GitHub and Azure DevOps for 15 years. Azure DevOps, in its current incarnation, was built for Agile teams by Agile teams. The Azure DevOps product team transitioned to Agile around 2013, and they moved almost overnight from a 2-year delivery schedule to one of 3 weeks. As of the time I recorded this video, they have completed 235 sprints and delivered 235 times to production in this new model. This was not always the case, and many of the tools, features, and capabilities which persist from the Visual Studio Team System days of the product are much more relevant for companies that are not using Agile practices. When Microsoft created Team Foundation Server back in 2006, the intent was to create a connected experience for all of the tools and capabilities that an engineering team would use. The idea was to create a holistic, connected experience from ideation all the way through to delivery with full traceability of how and why things were added. However, back in 2006, Microsoft found this to be at odds with the organization's general outlook, and they ended up with a very Microsoft technology-only focused system. Fast forward to 2001 and the move to the cloud, and suddenly those limitations were much more prominent and needed to be fixed. There's a fantastic paper from Buck Hodges, Director of Engineering for Azure DevOps, on this, and I'll put a link in the comments below. As Microsoft transformed TFS to become a cloud product, it also addressed many of the Microsoft-centric issues that had held back its adoption. The tool started to reflect the original dream, and the idea of one ES, or one engineering system, was born. The intent of one ES, as with the original team system, was to reduce the complexity of product delivery by ensuring that everybody working a product knew where their stuff was: work items, builds, releases, environments, and more. Today, Azure DevOps supports any technology from any stack and has enabled that one ES dream. However, as with all products, users use them in many ways that were not envisaged by their creators. But with something as complicated as Azure DevOps, there are a number of things that users do that go against the very intent and paradigms of the tool itself. I'll show you the top 4 issues that give the Azure DevOps team palpitations. So the first item that has the Azure DevOps product team pulling their hair out is same level hierarchy. Creating a hierarchy of work items that happen to be exactly the same level. So let's take a look at what that looks like. I'm going to show a simple example, and then we'll go make a customization and show a more complicated example. So here I have my product backlog. I've got my product backlog items. I have under here a task, which is a sub item. So I can quite easily go in here and add a new item. I'm going to call it a child, and I'm going to add a task, task 2. Click OK. You can see I suck at that. And now I have 2 tasks underneath this item. But what I've done over here is I have added product backlog items as children of product backlog items. So it is represented on this board And I should be able to, can I still move this around? Oh, I can still move this around here. But when I go to try and grab one of these items, I can order it inside of the context. Oh, and there I've managed to break it. This is why this is a problem. So work item 4052 can't be ordered because it's a parent in the same category. So if I hit refresh, it'll have gone back to where it was. There we go. So I was just trying to order within this category and it jumped out, and that was the problem. If I go and try and order it over here, I will immediately get that error. That's the one I was going to show you. And now I can't do anything with that until I refresh, and it will go back underneath because it has a parent-child relationship. You can't order that hierarchy. I cannot reorder these backlog items within the context of anything other than this backlog item. And in fact, when I move it to the bottom there, it might pop out. I might, was it going to pop out? What if I put this one here? See, it's not doing, oh, there we go. I managed to pop it out there. It's very easy to do when you have this set up. This is not how Azure DevOps is designed to work at all. So this one's a fairly obvious example of when this is broken. But let's go take a look at what we can do to make it a little bit less obvious, more complicated solution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the process, and I am going to, I've got feature disabled. Let's see, what am I going to do? Let's create a new backlog item. We're going to call it OKR. I'm going to call it OKR just for fun. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make it another color so that it doesn't look like it's on the same level. Okay, so I've added this new item. I just wanted the default one, right? So now I have an OKR here. Oh, I don't like that. Well, the tick's fine. Okay, so I'm going to go over to backlog levels, and I'm going to edit this backlog level, and I'm going to add OKRs on the same Oh, I could do it with risk as well. Ooh, that would be lovely. So I'm going to add this in here. Now I have OKRs and risk at the same level as this backlog. If you're going to have work items at the same level, that's fine, but it should always be a flat list. So now that's all saved. If I go back, and I'm going to refresh this. Okay, so now on this backlog, I can click new work item, and I will have all of those options. I've got OKR, risk, bug. I have lots of different things. So let's OKR1, add to top, OKR2. That's just so that we remember what we were creating. And I'm going to do risk, and this is risk 1 and risk 2. Okay. So this all works great, and I should be able to order these within my backlog, because my backlog is an ordered list of work. All of the things on my backlog should be time-limited things that are going to be delivered. But now I've got some different things on here. Now, OKRs, I can imagine being a time-limited thing that we're going to deliver and then they'll disappear. Risks, we don't really deliver risks, so they should probably never be on a backlog. But loads of people what they will try and do is they'll go, oh, I want this risk to be a child of, what did we do here? Let's do this one again, just to make it even more dysfunctional. We're going to create a new item, and I create that as a child. I'm going to add that risk in. Azure DevOps will let you do it. Azure DevOps has the underlying work item tracking system didn't used to have these agile planning tools on top, and you could do whatever you wanted with whatever work item type under the covers. However, now I've got risk as a child of the product backlog item, and I might even think, oh, can I even order that? Oh, no, I managed to break it already. You can see as soon as you start doing some of these things, it's going to get even, well, it only goes up or down. I can do that. Oh, it starts to work really weird. There's loads of considerations in here. The product team can't take care of everything, and you can even see that it's not doing an ordered list as part of this. These items should not. Oh, and it's even doing starting to do very weird stuff now. Let me refresh that again. You should not have items that are at the same level in the backlog as a parent-child relationship with each other. It's perfectly okay to have different items at the same level. So I might have a bunch of bugs on my board that are going to be managed in here along with everything else, and I can order them with the rest of my work. That makes perfect sense. But please try and avoid having parent-child relationships at the same backlog level. And you'll see at the backlog level here, I have 3 items. At other backlog levels, you might only have 1 item. The easy way around this is to just have 1 item, but if you do have bugs on the backlog, you'll also have bugs. Please don't do this. The second thing that has the Azure DevOps team pulling their hair out is blocked columns, or really any temporary state column. The expectation for the states on a work item is that every work item will move through all of those states. If you create a temporary state, there's a number of process things that become a problem. But in reporting, you're going to have columns on your board which not all work should pass through. Let me show you what I mean. So let me switch to my board here for my backlog. Those of you that are Kanban minded might have noticed that I forgot to mention WIP limits. If you have one of these temporary state columns, like a blocked column, you are effectively hiding WIP. WIP goes over to a different field, although it is a different column, although it's actually in that other column that it has to go back to. And lots of teams, not deliberately, but they hide that WIP over there so they can have more things in progress because this blocked thing doesn't count. That's not how it's supposed to work. The blocked things still count. And here I have a customized board. So I have new approved options, develop, validate, and done. Every work item on my board is expected to move through all of these states. The item in new will be approved by the product owner. The item that's approved by the product owner will become an option for the team. The team will then start working during their sprint, and then they'll pull things in to develop it. It'll go from develop to develop done because they've completed the development work, and then it'll wait in this done develop done column as a wait state until whoever's doing the validation, perhaps the same people, are able to pull that item into validate, and then once the validation's been successful, they're going to drop it into done. That would be the common flow for all of the work flowing across this board. Let me make a little customization. This is the most common one that people add. I'm going to add a blocked column. Now my first problem is, what state is it blocked in? Which of these states is it blocked in? It's either blocked in the approved state, the new state, the approved state, or the in progress state. Whichever one I pick, that might be weird. So let me show you. Let's say blocked stuff is kind of outside. It's not really in progress because it's blocked, but maybe it was in progress when we blocked it. Maybe it was approved when we blocked it. How do we know what state it's supposed to go back to? Let me just stick it in the new state. I'm going to have blocked items on the left-hand side of the board there. So now I've got an item in develop here. It becomes blocked. So I'm going to move it into blocked. And now, well, actually, I think I messed that up. It's still in approved. Wow, it's gone to approved. What did I do wrong? Columns, blocked. I only changed bug. So if I change that to new, it's actually not going to let... Is it going to let me do that? But that item disappears. Lovely jubbly. Let's move another item in there. You can see I'm already starting to run into weird issues. Now I've put this item in the blocked column. It becomes unblocked. Where do I put it? Which column does it go to? Well, I can't remember, so I'm going to open the item. I'm going to go to the history, and I'm going to see it was approved and then push back to new. So now it was in approved. So then it becomes an option. The team starts working on it, and it gets blocked again. So then we go to unblock it, and we go in. We look at the details, and now it's gone from new to approved to new to approved to new. Okay. But we had it in develop. So we put it back in develop. Open it up. Well, that's madness. Is it actually in progress? It is in progress. See, I am running into lots of issues already. So I'm gonna... I maybe need to refresh my board. No. There we go. And then I'm gonna open up the work item. I'm going to go back to here, and there we go. Now we can see everything that's going on. So it went to new, then to approved, then to new, then to approved, then to in progress, then to new, then into it in progress. But in actual fact, under the covers, you'll see the board column was blocked, not blocked, blocked, not blocked, right? We could mitigate this. There are some of you out there screaming, well, what I would do is I would go into my process, and I would go into my product backlog item. I'd go into states, and I'd add like a core state for this item. But now we have exactly the same problem. Where should this blocked column go in the core states? Is it blocked in progress, or is it blocked proposed? If it's blocked proposed and it was in progress, we're taking it out of in progress into proposed. If it's blocked proposed and we put the blocked column in progress, then we're moving it from proposed to in progress. This is madness. This is going to cause loads of issues. This is true whether you've got a blocked column. I don't know, what else might you have? On hold, any sort of intermittent state that could appear in any column of your board. What is a much more effective idea? I'm going to remove that nasty, nasty blocked column. A much more effective idea is we create a tag for blocked. If I add a new blocked tag, boom, save that. And now I can very easily see that this item was blocked in approved. I can see that this item was blocked in develop. And it is very clear which column they were blocked in, how they were, well, maybe not how they were blocked. You need to ask some questions, but I know that was blocked in develop. So I might ask different questions from it's blocked in approved. And when I want to remove blocked, I can very easily just go remove the tag, hit save, and now that item is no longer marked as blocked. Now I was able to achieve that with an extra annotation here. Tag color blocked is bright red so that it is obvious on the board, but tagging is a great way to mark blocked. In addition, that will support other plugins, certainly plugins that I like to use. I have actionable agile metrics for predictability around here. So there's the actionable agile tool, which gives you much better graphs on what's going on with your data. It's just loaded the sample data, but if I load the Azure data, I can load the board history, go grab that Scrum team. I think we were on Scrum team 2, and I can go, I've probably not chosen a board. We're going to load backlog items. There we go. It's lit up. It's going to go load that data, 34 work items, And I have some stuff that's changed behind the scenes. So I'm going to go take that in progress state and stick it on here. That's where I want those 2 items to exist. So now I can model this on the board. It might not have anything useful on the board because this is demo environment. But if something is blocked in here, you will see the blocked time in days popping up, and that will use the blocked tag, and it will not use a blocked column. Kanban teams should not ever have blocked columns. That creates a lot of dysfunctional behaviors. So please try and avoid having a blocked column and instead opt for a blocked tag with a highlight. Don't use blocked columns or any temporary state columns on your board, and certainly don't add it to work items and force everybody to have them. The third thing that makes the Azure DevOps team's toes curl is too many work item states. Now, work item states exist at a much lower level in Azure DevOps than team choice. So when we were looking at changing columns on a board, adding more columns, removing columns, that gives individual teams within the context of a project lots of flexibility in how they want to work, what they want to report on, what their workflow is, and what they want to see. But lots of organizations are incredibly authoritarian on the way that they do this, and they mandate a bunch of states for everybody. So here I've got an example. I've got a project here. A bunch of states has been added, and I'm going to go to my board, and suddenly you'll see this is going to be a problem. The column configurations are not correct because those columns don't exist. Somebody's messed with them, and I need to fix it. That's the how to fix it. I don't want that. I just want to fix it. Correct it now, and it's going to pop up on that board. And now I had my original approved options, develop, validate, done, and now I've got a bunch of crazy things in the middle. So let's have a look at what we've got. Okay, these are the columns, the minimum set of columns I'm now more or less forced to use as a team. So if I go into my admin and I create a new new team, Scrum Team 3, create that. I probably need to set some stuff up, so I'll do it now. Scrum Team 3. Have I got my iteration? Yes, I've got a default iteration path. What sprint are we on? I can't remember the dates, but let's put 6. Let's do that. And we have area paths. Okay, we're all good. So now, if I click on boards and I go to my Scrum Team 3 board, this will be the default board that every team that uses this project will get. It's massive. It's not only does it barely fit on the screen, in fact, it doesn't fit on the screen. I've got to scroll to get. Let me zoom out. There we go. Now I've got everything on the screen at 50%. Not only that, but adding items to the board. Moving them across, you can see that it's going to take time to move them across. All of these states are on that work item. It's just an absolute mess. Now, I can, as a team member, go in and say, I don't want feedback. I don't want review. We don't want design, and I don't want initiation. We're going to have new... there's approval and approved. New approved. And then we're going to have only one state in. So we're going to have develop. There's a lot of columns in here. Let's get rid of that in progress. pre-production UAT. So we're going to have this. Oh, column has 2 items in it. The design column I can't get rid of. Oh, joy. So let me put these back. Go and I'm going to remove design, remove initiation, remove feedback, remove approval. I've got approved, develop, validate, remove in progress. That's a little bit more manageable. But now, although I can move work items through these states, you can see that it added the pre-production state on there, but here it's just develop and validate. But if I go into my states and somebody moves a work item to one of the states that doesn't exist on my board, my work item disappears. You need to have all of those states in order to be able to see all the work items. You could do some mitigating around making sure that you have queries that show work items that are in states that you're not using, but it just overloads the team. It overloads it doesn't overload the tool. You can see the tool renders it just fine, but how do you find the stuff you're looking for? How do you know what state it's supposed to be in? How do you move things through that state? And if I now add a bug onto this board, which the bug only has 2 states, you can see it's in approved, it's now in new, new, UAT, done. Oh, that's the bug, new and done. It makes it more difficult for teams. It makes it more difficult for administrators. It makes it more difficult for collaboration. Please don't use too many states. The fourth thing that gets in the way of Azure DevOps is too many work item types. Like, why do we need more than a few work item types? It's really common. I see this a lot with customers. I know the Azure DevOps team talk about this one a lot. It causes a lot of performance issues. But too many work item types. Like, what do we need them for? I've got an example here of too many work item types. So here's my backlog. And this backlog has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different work item types here. Technical debt, sprint goal, OKR, user story, and hypothesis. I don't know why you would want this many work item types. All it creates is additional choices that are a little bit difficult to change. You can just change work item type. That is possible. But why have so many? I don't understand it myself. I'm going to show you what I mean. If I open up the project here, and I have seen, I've made this one, but I have seen projects that have this many work item types. I've seen application, change request, compliance task, dependency, all of these things I have seen. Perhaps not kitchen sink. I haven't seen kitchen sink. But that's what it feels like. Sometimes we're going to put everything, including the kitchen sink, in here. And it serves to confuse and confound people. If you remember, some of the previous things we talked about was hierarchy at the same backlog level. So now I've got hypothesis, OKR, sprint goals, technical debt, and user story at the same level. So now I can go in here and say, well, this is my user story, and let's say my sprint goal. I'm going to add that user story as a child of that item. And I'm going to add let's OKR, and I'm going to add that as a parent. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, that one. And this seems to make perfect logical sense, right? I've got some OKRs. that I'm trying to achieve. I'm going to have, this is my goal this sprint, which is to achieve that OKR, and then I have user stories. When you have multiple items at the same level, it's definitely much more likely that this is going to occur within a project or product. And it just gets confusing because now we can no longer order those items like you saw before. We can no longer do other things with these items. Also, you can see here I've got items at different levels. So here I've got feature has application, feature, product goal, research item, and epic has epic, which is the default, initiative, and I added kitchen sink in there just for fun. And then there's a whole bunch of here that are not associated with any particular backlog. So it's okay to have a few extra work item types. You might add something like risk to your backlog. But if we're talking about pieces of work, especially things like a hypothesis or an OKR, that might make better sense as a field on your standard work item. Right? I could add a new field in here for the type of user story and have this is an epic, this is a feature, this is a use case, this is a user story, right? Rather than a user story being the type, I prefer to have product backlog item and then add those types to it, right? How am I breaking down these different work items because I want to do something different with them? Much more effective to use a field, and then you never need to change type from one type to another type. So what I definitely want you to do when you're thinking about whether you should add a new work item type is the reason that you need it painful enough that you have to have it? Can it just be a tag applied to a work item? That would be the most optimal, fastest, quickest, easiest, cheapest, least invasive way to do that. Next, do we need to have a field on the work item because maybe we want to report on it? Don't just add fields and report on it because somebody says they want to report on it. I get this an awful lot in organizations where they want to add custom work item types, add custom fields, add custom states because they want to report on it. My first question is always, what different choices are you going to make based on these reports? What reports are they going to appear in, and what different choices is the business or the team going to make based on that data? If they can't answer that question, I'm probably not going to create that work item type. I'm not going to add that extra field. There needs to be a reason for it to be there because it's more to manage, it's more to support, it's more for people to do. It leads to more confusion, which means you need more training. How do people know what all of these work item types and extra fields and extra states are for, what they're supposed to be for? Are they using them correctly? Who's checking that these things are all being used correct? This is just a maintenance nightmare. It just doesn't make sense to use too many work item states. Don't put the kitchen sink in that list. That was the top 4 rookie mistakes in Azure DevOps that make the product team's toes curl. If you are finding that you have any of these types of issues in your environment, then Naked Agility can help you, or we can help you find somebody who can. Don't wait. The longer you leave these types of issues in place, the more expensive it can be to fix. Get in touch in the comments below.